Hi, so my name is Ijeoma Ucheibe, and welcome to my channel where I talk about everything HR related and its intersection within law under the Naija HR Chic Series with me. This story happened ah, interesting times. I don't even know how to start this story, but I'm going to start somewhere. And it's about harassment, inappropriate behavior, what constitutes inappropriate behavior, and how to tackle it as a HR professional when you have these claims made against you. Yeah, because it's a very personal story. Only a very few persons knew about this when it was happening at the time, but knowing me, I always try not to keep things like this away from you for too long. I'll probably talk about this with names and details and all that jazz when I eventually write my book. But for now, we're going to just talk about what happened and what I did and what I would advise you to do. Because at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes. Maybe looking back, that was not the right step to take. I will leave that to you. So when I released that video about how to handle sexual harassment claims made by an employee against their manager as a HR professional, I listed out steps, and this is from knowledge and experience of having dealt with something. So I most of the things I talk about here is either I have experienced them or I have come in contact with people who have experienced them. So I get permission to tell these stories, and I always refer back to those stories. I don't make it seem like they are mine, but this particular one is my story to tell. And first of all, you're very angry that it's happening to you, then you get very pissed off that you could not see it coming, and then you wonder why workplace politics has to get to the point where people are thinking of tarnishing your image. Because the reason why it was personal for me was, first, I'm a lawyer. It took me almost 7 years to qualify as one. 5 years in university, 1 year in law school, 1 year, before you get called to the bar. And for my set, we were supposed to be called, I think, a year before that whole January shenanigan that happened in 2012. So that feeling of having to be moved to the next year, and yeah, you can guess how hard I fought. And I grew up without a mom and no dad, so it's like you're fending for yourself. So it's different for you because you know what is at stake. You do not want to do anything that will make you lose your license. So when this happened, my first fear was, why would you want to do this, knowing that this is very untrue? This is a clear case of somebody wanting to get you out of the system. It doesn't cost you anything to just have a sit down with me and say, Ijeoma, I think our time has come for us to leave, to say, oh, it's been nice having you work here, but I think it's time for you to go. Yes, the National Industrial Court, there's that fear of, oh, what if she sues us for constructive dismissal, which I would have if I had continued to stay at this particular organization and with all the shenanigans they had planned, which I knew about months before. Because hey, that is my place to know. As a HR professional, we're supposed to think ahead, we're supposed to strategize. So I already saw everything all laid out, and I knew what this organization was about to do, and my image was at stake. And I eventually left because I just could not deal with it any longer. So I walked into the office and I was made to face an investigation because someone who was supposed to be like higher up in management made a complaint against me that I had harassed them using inappropriate behavior, which was a shock to me because this organization at the time prided itself on being an open space, everyone love and lights, first name basis. You come in the morning, everybody's laughing with you. Anyone could just walk into my provision store, as I used to call it then, and take anything, right? So to have this happen, and you're thinking, oh, wait up. You mean being nice is what this is coming to? Really? What happened to say, oh, you're being nice to me? It's making me a little bit uncomfortable. That didn't happen. So to get that thrown in your face, I was like, no, this is unfair, but I will fight this. So when, of course, the report came, it was false. It was very untrue, and I defended myself in a response. Thank God they asked me for a response, which is what I did. But at that time, I knew, okay, management wants to get me out by hook or crook. I cannot tell whether it's because I've had a very poor job performance after the number of years I had spent at this organization, or there was something else at stake. Maybe this particular person who had laid this complaint just didn't want me around. And I felt there are better ways to do these things. You don't have to tarnish people's image to get. So there were a lot of other things that happened that just made me wake up one day and I just, you know what? I can't do this any longer. I wasn't happy to come to work. This is me who was always excited. No, oh my God, love and light. Each time I came to work, I was always panicky. I was having literal panic attacks, okay? I am a very strong person. So, but the point where you get to your office, you're pressing the bell to step into the office, and you have to take a deep breath, go to the restroom to wooza. I needed to leave this place. So my head was thinking, okay, now that you've come back with a response, indicting possibly this person and letting management know, oh, this is like a pattern of behavior with this set complainants, and I know what's at stake here, and I will not stand for it. My next thought was, what if they come with an appraisal to say, oh, the reason why we let this person go was because the person failed in their appraisal? And I smiled because I was like, oh shoot. I was really hoping they wouldn't go that route, because as a HR professional, you already know all the tricks in the game, which I'm not going to talk about here because that would be like giving out trade secrets. But I'm like, okay, so what's the guarantee? Why are we having this appraisal out of the blues done for everybody? Because they had to make it seem like, but I knew where it was coming from. I was like, okay, there's a response. These persons have not, and now they're coming out with what are the odds? And I just smiled. At the time, I started talking with several organizations because I needed to leave, and that's what I did. Long story short, thinking about it is making me emotional because at that period I had just experienced two very traumatic events. I had just lost someone who was like a mom to me, growing up an orphan and all that. This person had literally stepped in to take the place of a mom in my life. So dealing with that grief, having to undergo that investigation, which was bollocks, by the way, coming to the office, smiling with employees who did not even have a clue on what was going on behind the scenes, and still trying to maintain an upbeat, positive attitude was, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed, but it was a lot at the time. So when the opportunity arose to start talking with other persons, about moving with other companies and organizations at the time, I jumped at it. And I'm a Christian, even though I'm not one of those ones who carry churches on their head and all that. But I had a conversation with God and I said, if it is your will for me to continue to work at this organization, regardless of everything that's happened, because you want to teach me patience and perseverance, so be it. If it's your will for me to leave, whoever I'm talking to, who appears to be the most serious out of these people who I'm having interviews with, let them come back with an offer that I cannot resist. And I wasn't doing this because, yes, inflation and all that, but I want to go somewhere where I am appreciated, where I'm not made to feel like you need to be edged out because a member of management team is unhappy with your face, or for whatever reason they may have for wanting to get you out of the way. I felt unappreciated, I felt bad, I felt stupid. There's a part of it that feels, wow, I think loyalty doesn't pay anymore. I might as well just do what these Gen Zs are doing to employees, and fellow employers of labor, right? They wake up, accept your offer, don't show up, and tell you, oh, something came up on why they don't want to resume at your office anymore. They don't have any regard for the workplace, so to speak. And that's one of the issues that we have to, deal with every other time. So many things were going through my head, but eventually I left. And even when I resigned, I would rather not talk about what happened next. But it was just, if I was in doubt about what the plans were, afterwards, it was clear as day to say, oh, thank God, she finally saw the light and decided to leave. She didn't have to wait for us to do what we needed to do. Was I planning to sue them? Because someone asked me this question right before I made this video. I said, nah, I wasn't planning to sue them. There's some organizations you just leave. It will haunt them. You don't even be the one to sue them. They would still do that to maybe someone who is coming in to replace you, or to another employee, and they'll make that mistake, and that employee will take it more serious than you did, because you are trying to be a HR professional. You're thinking about the employer brand, you're thinking about your brand, and you rather just live in peace and let everyone, let sleeping dogs lie, basically. But what are the lessons I learned? Don't be too nice. It's going to be taken out of context, which was what happened, because a lot of other stories that are coming up, and it was pointing to how bad I was as a person when it came to how I carried myself around male employees and managers in the organization. I thought I was trying to be nice, I was trying to make people feel free around me, but it was misinterpreted to mean that, yeah, this was my modus operandi. Basically, if you're a female and you understand what I'm saying, you know where I'm going with this. So now I'm taking, alright, for the past couple of years, I've taken a step back to say, okay, maybe I can just be myself without giving away too much. So as a rule of thumb, nobody knows anything about my personal life. Like, I had to stop that after this incident. You don't know whether I'm married, you don't know whether I'm single, you don't know anything. Because at the end of the day, we are here to work. I can be here for you. I'm a shoulder to cry on when you want to talk about work and how I can make your job easier and make you a more productive employee, but that's as far as it goes. I try to avoid hugging people except absolutely necessary. And I'm not doing this because I have anything against hugging people, but I just felt things as simple like this were turned around and made to seem like it was a big deal, especially in this particular organization and what happened afterwards. And then lastly, as much as you want to be yourself, keep everything documented as a HR professional. That was a major flaw for me when this issue happened. It doesn't have to be written, it could be recorded with the other person's consent, of course. But keep everything documented, or even if you cannot record where the permission is not granted, right? Please have it written down and sent as an email. You never know when this will come in handy. So those are 3 things I learned looking back at this particular episode. It kind of shaped the way I started dealing with employees and even managers. And people used to think, oh, Ijeoma, she doesn't really laugh from her heart. There's a reason for that. This video is that reason. I have since moved on to an awesome place. For now, I hope it continues to remain that way, because I hope to stay there longer with them. But for the time being, if you're watching this and you're a HR professional, let me know if you've ever been accused or had a false allegation of harassment made against you, and what did you do? Did you think I should have stayed and fought it to the end, to clear my name, or did you think I took the weak man's way out of leaving because I felt it was too much? Because in another video, I'm going to tell you guys the mental health aftermath of what this whole situation did to me. Because what people don't understand is, because you're a HR professional and you have to handle a lot of pressure both with employees and employers, people never quite understand that these things affect your psyche. in a way that you can never take back. You know, dealing with imposter syndrome and all that jazz. So in another video, I'm going to talk about that and just, who knows, even recommend my therapist to you, because I know I talk a lot about mental health, but it's something that has been very helpful in my journey, my professional journey. If not, I'm sure I'll have been flying off the handle at every given minute. But therapy has been very helpful. Even now, as I'm talking about it, I'm probably going to go back and tell my therapist, I did it! I spoke about it on my YouTube channel. But let me know in the comment section if you've ever had to experience it, or you know someone who has experienced it and what they did differently from what I just talked about today. Please like, please share, and don't forget to subscribe down below. I'll be waiting for your comments, and stay safe, guys. I'll talk to you very, very soon.